All right, what's up, everybody? Um, I know we don't normally put out our podcasts on Sundays, but uh, we just had a major event happen um, in the world of Arkansas sports, and I think it's best for us to just go ahead and talk about it right now. Go ahead and get this, I guess you want to say, emergency podcast. We're gonna keep it short and simple. Short and sweet. We're gonna keep it short and simple. But Ty, get in here, man. We just want to go ahead and get it out of the way. Offensive coordinator Dan Enos has been fired, effective immediately. Um, what's your thoughts, man?
It's a great day to be a Razorback, baby!
It is.
Woo pig!
It is. I,
It's
I'm,
long, 8 weeks overdue. It's been
I'm.
a minute. This is the most hype I've been all season. I've been to 2 games. The fact that this is the reason that I am the most excited to be a Razorback student and fan right now is because we fire our offensive coordinator. The atmosphere here is electric. People are excited. People are going out. They're excited. People are going nuts over here. We're losing our minds. We should not be this excited, but here we are. It's week 8. We suck, but you know what? This is a good thing. Let us be excited.
Well, I'll just be honest. I don't think I've ever rooted for the downfall of a football team. I don't ever think I've wanted my my team that I grew up watching to lose.
Yeah, you never
Um,
want to watch your team lose.
but yesterday felt like the loss yesterday to Mississippi State kind of felt like it was a good thing because I feel like this firing of Dan Enos was long overdue. I mean,
It's only been his first year back in the booth.
unbelievable. And right now, it says average 26.8 points per game on offense. You take away the first 2 games, and it's probably sitting somewhere around 18 or 20. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. So it was most definitely time for change. Um, he may be the first of a couple guys who are up next. Um, we'll see, I guess, but I think I think it's a good thing, and I think I honestly, for some reason, trust Kenny Guiton more than Dan Enos. And Enos he's been offensive coordinator for like 8 or 9 years, and Guyton has never been an offensive coordinator. So we'll just see what happens. Sometimes you just got to
Right.
make changes. You hate to see a guy get fired, but I mean, if you're not producing and not doing what you need to do in it, like any job, you just have to. You got to be better. You got to upgrade. So we'll see if Kenny Guyton can take the reins over. He's interim. I'm not sure if that'll stick next year, but I mean, gotta somebody had to go after the game yesterday. It's just facts.
Absolutely. And now the Hogs were in a position last week where they had to win out realistically to have a chance at bowl eligibility, and they still are, but just having probably the most ugly loss in the Sam Pittman era. Will, I texted you. You said 3 times this year that this has been the worst loss in the Sam Pittman era. Yesterday was atrocious. It was bad on all levels. The defense played great, only allowing 7 points after one of their first drives, and then just nothing. You're as an offense, you need to credit what your defense does for you. And they didn't do that. The ball wasn't moving. Now, yes, I know KJ Jefferson didn't have his best performance. I mean, I can't really analyze this because I stopped paying attention. It was so bad that I couldn't watch at times. And that's how it's felt throughout the course of the year. But now we've finally broken this. It's been long overdue. And like I said, as only his first year in the booth with Sam Pittman, it's been nothing but just bad. There's no other way to play it. it really has been probably the poorest that we've ever seen. And when you look at the numbers, 27 points per game, 306 yards per game, on paper that doesn't look bad. But like you said, Will, a lot of it came from the first two games. But even in the second game against Kentucky State, they struggled to push the ball. Kentucky State, I think, is 1-5. They were 1-5. Maybe they're 1-6 now. But they could not get the offense going against Kentucky State. And that was honestly probably one of the first signs that was like, this is not good. And obviously they fought back against BYU, dropping 31 and then responding on another LSU beatdown. Not really, but dropped 31. So they were putting up points, but those were also bad defenses. LSU has one of the worst defenses in college football. You're not going to produce against top tier teams. And we talked about that through the course of this podcast. We talked about how the lack of offense and the production, we couldn't get it going against, mediocre teams. It wasn't going to happen against good teams. And yesterday was the loss that was needed. Like you said, I hate to see your team lose and you hate to root for it. But the Razorbacks needed an ugly one to get Dan Enos out of the booth. And it came.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, people have been saying Enos has ruined KJ, and I think that's a main part of it. Why KJ is really struggling. We saw
Yeah.
him have a really good season last year, had a really good season before that, and then this year
Mm-hmm.
just kind of took a really big fall off. Um, and I think that is just because of the lack of playmakers around him, but especially the guy who's calling the plays.
Yeah.
First off, you have KJ in a system
Oh,
with
it's better.
Enos. It's just not his play style. He's trying. Enos wanted KJ to play like a drop
A
back
pocket
passer.
passer.
Yeah, and he's not that. And
He's
people
the
wonder why he struggled. I'm
yeah.
I I I'm the biggest defender of KJ. I believe that he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at the University of Arkansas. But uh, he's been struggling, and I can blame that on him a little bit, but a lot of it is I think because of Enos and just he's not playing. He did not play KJ the way that he needs to play.
Yeah.
So getting a change, I think Guyton is going to run a totally different offense. I think the offense is going to look a whole lot different than what Enos ran. I think it's going to look a little bit more like the Bryles offense we saw the last couple of years. Um, so we'll just see. I mean, hopefully KJ, we see a little bit of what he looked like the last couple 2, 3 years.
Yeah. We need
Um,
some resurrection.
but it ultimately, I think Enos had to be the sacrificial lamb after that game against Mississippi State, and we'll see. I would not expect I wouldn't expect anyone to get fired this week, but if Arkansas keeps struggling, it could get really, 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 really ugly, and
Yeah.
we might see guys on the coaching staff start dropping like flies.
Well, it is the bye week, so I don't expect anything to happen. I don't expect anything more to happen going into the matchup in Gainesville. So I'd be shocked if something happened. But obviously, the Enos one, it shocked us coming in the middle of the season, but we weren't shocked to see it happen. It was going to happen no matter what. And like I said, just the ugly loss is what was inevitably needed for this to happen. And coach yesterday in the post conference, someone asked him about having a staff change potentially up for grabs, and he didn't answer. He said, "I'm not going to answer questions about that right now." And I texted you. I was like, "Hey, he just said he's not answering anything about staff changes," and immediately that kind of sparked some rumors. They were like, "Hey, what is something going to happen?" And then less than 24 hours later, Enos is at the door with his bags. Like you said, the Kendall Briles system really benefited Jefferson because he is a quarterback who does his damage from outside the pocket, who's able to use his legs to create plays outside the pocket and on the run, whether it's go hit some dude and send him to the graveyard shift or just extending plays. We saw flashes of it this season. I mean, Nick Saban, the college football standard for coaching and a program, gave him so much praise for that one play where he extended it and flipped it off to the back. I can't remember who it was who got a huge chunk of play that really kept the Hogs in that game. So going back, if we can have anything of what the Kendall Briles system was that really benefited KJ Jefferson's strengths, you'll see this offense put up more points. You'll see better play calling. And that's also another thing. Not only was just the system really just out of place for Jefferson, the calls were just atrocious as well. I mean, since the beginning of the season, 4th and 1 lined up in the shotgun. They ran the tush push yesterday against Mississippi State, and then run the ball 2 times in a bad route tree for a receiver. He said Enos set the guys up for failure, and Jefferson hasn't been the scapegoat of it. I think Enos says obviously all the spotlight is on him now with him being out, and people now are going to start to wake up. Arkansas fans have known it, but the college football world should be on the lookout to see Arkansas have some sort of production in these last 4 games that are winnable. The only one that really sticks out to me is Missouri, and Missouri has played really, really good football.
Well, I don't think we have a whole lot more to say. I would say I'm shocked, but I don't think I am. This is honestly the first time in memory that I can actually think about an offensive coordinator in college, at least, getting fired in the middle of the season. It takes a whole lot for that to happen. It takes a whole lot. You have to be really, really bad at your job to get fired in the middle of the season. And here we are.
Enos was.
Here we
That's
are.
what he was. And then also, before we get too deep in that, I said this earlier, but I think this is going to be something that secures Sam Pittman another year.
Yeah,
because
right.
he grew the pair and said, you're done. And I know that Enos and Pittman are close friends. They've had a history of working together before. So first of all, I can't imagine how hard that was for Pittman to tell him that you're done. So for Pittman to finally, wake up and have the moment of realization that this isn't working, and for him to do what he did, that's extremely huge. I think it definitely secures Sam Pittman another year as head hog. And I think if we return to the somewhat of the Kendall Briles system, we'll see some success. Because Pittman has really, like you said, he picked up the program when it was at the worst of the worst, and there has been success. I know it's been nothing short, or it's been nothing of, sunshine and rainbows. There's been many faults, many flaws during his short tenure, but there's been some really high highs. And I mean really high highs. Arkansas was 2 years ago? They were the 8th best team in the country. And that was under the Kendall Briles system. I don't really remember why they fell off so hard that year. But this is a window now for Sam Pittman to take action. I think he has secured another year here at the university. And now this is when, if he is going to make sure he can stay longer, this is the moment. It may not be perfect for the rest of the season, but these last 4 games are crucial. If they lose all 4, he could be gone. But if they win 3 out of the 4 and drop the one to Missouri in a close battle, I think it's going to start looking like Pittman will be around for another year. And then next year, the 2024-5 season is really just the prove it year. Like, this is your one shot. If you blow it, you're done.
Here's the thing. With Sam Pittman's buyout, when he agreed to his contract, Hunter Yurachek just discarded the whole entire 2020 season. So after 2020, so starting in 2021, if he was ever under 500, his buyout would go from 75% to 50%. Sam Pittman right now, from 2021 to right now, is 18-16. These last 4 games on this schedule for the Hogs are the biggest of Sam Pittman's career, the biggest of the Arkansas football program in a long time. These next 4 games are going to define what happens in the program of Arkansas football for a long time.
And here's the thing. They are all winnable football games. I know Gainesville is probably one of the toughest places in all of college football to go on the road and get a win. But this is not the same Florida team that we are used to in recent memory. They're not. The defense has been great this season for the Hogs, and if they go in there and play the way they did against Alabama, and the offense looks rejuvenated, they're going to go in there and they're going to win. Because don't forget, I think it's really great that they got rid of Enos during the bye week, because now they have 2 weeks to adapt to whatever Kenny Guiton is going to bring in to that room. And it may not look perfect in Gainesville, but it's going to look different. They're going to be more adapted to it than they are in 2 weeks than if this was a week where they had an opponent coming in on Saturday. And then you got Auburn, who has not been great this year. They've played really well against some ranked opponents, so that's going to be a really toss-up game. And then you got FIU and Missouri. If you can get FIU. If you don't get FIU, Pittman's out the door this season. But Missouri's got the hardest one on the schedule.
Yep, you gotta go at least 500. I think
you gotta go at
least 500.
I think they should go 3-1. The only game they should lose to is Missouri.
If Sam Pittman does not get an SEC win this season, I think you go ahead and just tell him goodbye. Because listen, he grabbed our program, like you said, when it was the lowest of the low. Chad Morris didn't get an SEC win for 2 years. You took us to bigger places than we've been in a while, but now we're going right back to where we were, and that's not where you have to make changes before it gets down to that like very deep bottom. You can't get there again because coaches see that and they know this is just a place where you can't win. That's just you can have that happen. But I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for Kenny Guiton. I think that's a really cool opportunity for him. I think hopefully we'll see a little bit more production from not only KJ but the receivers, the running backs, hopefully the offensive line. I'm not sure about that. I think that's a whole different conversation. But
I know it is.
But I'm excited. I think that's a cool opportunity for him. I hope this ends up working well for our program. I hope it ends up working well for Kenny Guiton. Maybe this gives him an opportunity to be an offensive coordinator somewhere else. But we'll see. It's a big last 4 games for Arkansas.
Yeah, and we talked about how the 4-game stretch of the gauntlet from LSU to Alabama was probably the biggest stretch of games of the season. At the time it was, but now these last 4 games are the biggest that Arkansas has had in a while. And really, it is definitely shifts the direction of where this program is heading. At least now there's some sort of sense going on. Realization is happening and changes are going to be made. And that feels really good to know that we have some sort of sense of direction. It really feels like there is just a big breath of fresh air. That the football program has a little bit of rejuvenation inside of it because of this. And I really think that these next 4 games, if they do well, we could be looking at something in the works of the 2024-2025 season.
But that's all I think we guys.
Yeah,
we have, right? I think we covered.
That's it. I mean, the only thing that I was kind of wanting to point out is just when they played against they played against really great opponents this year, as most SEC teams do. You lose to LSU by 3, you lose to Alabama by was it 3 or 4? You lose to Ole Miss by 7. I mean, those are all 3 games that they could have won easily that were held back by play calling. Play calling was probably at the worst during those games. And if they had someone different, they could have won all 3 of those. And you kind of got to feel good about that. Knowing what the issue was, and now that it's changed, you feel a little better about that. You feel good knowing that you could have won those games, and the reason that you didn't is now gone. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, the reason that Dan Enos got fired was because he couldn't get over that hump. Like you said, if he had at least one of those games under his belt, I think he's probably still here. But the fact that you couldn't close out any of those games uh,
when they
is
had
just
the chance to.
not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Yeah,
And so I think everybody in Razorback Nation is kind of thankful that today happened. I know
we're
everybody's been calling for his job even after the first couple of games.
we're all
Um,
united today, man.
but you know, today was
It was a good day.
it's a step forward. It's a step forward into a better place.
Amen.
But shouldn't be any other podcast this week. The Hogs are on a bye week, so we're on a bye week. Um, so go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, anything, everything. Do hit all the buttons.
Do
There's
it
a button
all.
on the screen.
Click,
Probably
click,
hit it.
click, click, click.
But yeah, we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we are gearing up to get ready for a win.
Yes, yes, sir.
Peace.
Have a great day.